Muy buenas tardes, bienvenidos todos sean ustedes a Unive. Esta tarde tenemos el gusto de tener con nosotros al señor Chef Heiken, que es experto en servicio al cliente. Hi, how are you? Good afternoon. Y en experiencia de consumidor. Es director de Chef Representations, autor del bestseller del New York Times y The Wall Street Journal, y ha sido incluido en el Salón de la Fama de la Asociación Nacional de Oradores por sus logros como conferencista nacional. Esta vez nos acompaña igualmente la señora Maciel Goede, que es la coordinadora de la especialidad en calidad e innovación de los servicios. Bienvenidos. Welcome.
Gracias.
Well, thank you for having me. Hello.
Thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
Yes, it's a pleasure to have you here today with us in with our community, student community of Unive. And we would like today to talk about creating an incredible customer service experience with you.
Yes, that's what I do.
So we have a lot of questions that we receive from students, and we would like to talk to you about these questions. And the first one is, what is a customer experience exactly?
Sure. Most people ask me, what is the difference between customer service and customer experience? And the best way to describe it is, if you think of customer service, that's the way you're treated. That's the actual experience you have when you interact with someone or try to get your question or problem resolved. Customer experience is everything from the very moment a customer starts to interact with your brand, even on a website, just the beginning of the relationship, all the way till, well, it's everything. It could even be, if you think about this, if you have an iPhone, the box that iPhone comes in and how it's packaged is it's really cool. That's part of the experience. So the experience is really everything that the customer is actually experiencing with your products and your brand.
That sounds good, huh? So another question that we receive is how you can amaze a customer.
Yep. So my definition of amazing a customer is not about over the top, wow, amazing, incredible, just unbelievable service. That's almost impossible to do. It's definitely impossible to do every time, but it's really only about certain times that you have that opportunity to really surprise and go above and beyond. However, my definition of customer amazement is better or easier to attain because it's simply a little better than average all of the time. What I mean by that is, if one, on a scale of 1 to 5, if 1 is poor and 5 is amazing, average is 3, right in the middle. So just be a little bit better than a 3, but don't ever drop to a 3, just a little better than a 3 all of the time. And your customers say things like, they're always so friendly. They're always so fast to get back to me. Even when there's a problem, I know I can always count on them. That word always followed by something positive. So when you're a little better than average, always, then most likely your customers are going to give you a high score, that 5 on a scale of 1 to 5. Now, if you have a problem like a complaint, that doesn't mean that your experience, at that moment it drops to a low number, they're unhappy. But the way you manage that complaint is what gets you right back up to that 5 on the scale of 1 to 5. If you do it right, that customer says, yeah, when there's a problem, they can always I can count on them to always take care of me. So remember, consistently and predictably above average is when customers say they're amazing.
Thinking on our customer, there's internal and external customer, and how can that internal customer can impact and amaze a external customer?
Sure. So I believe that everybody in an organization, even if they never talk or see the outside customer, is involved in customer service. If they're not supporting directly the outside customer, they're supporting somebody inside who is, or they're doing something inside that could impact the customer. For example, somebody working in a warehouse may never see a customer, but when there's an order, the way they put the product into a box and properly package it and send it out, if they don't do that right and the package shows up and inside the item is damaged because it wasn't packaged the right way, well, that's the fault of somebody in the warehouse. Now, that person in the warehouse says, well, I never see the customer. That's true, but you have big impact on the customer. And then there's somebody maybe in the administrative department who doesn't ever really see a customer, but supports a number of people that do. They're now supporting the internal process that's going to take care of a customer. So to me, everybody should be properly trained in customer service. Everybody should get a foundational training regardless of their job. And then within each of the roles that they have, somebody who actually deals directly with a customer might get some additional training that's specific to that. Somebody that's dealing internally might get something specific to them. But everybody needs to have a base and understand the same language. The best companies, the best customer-focused companies, every employee that comes to work gets trained in the basics of customer service. And then they don't just train them one time. It's ongoing. I mean, they don't need to do it every week, but certain groups within an organization, they may come back to the basic customer service training twice a year, or maybe more frequently, but in smaller amounts of time, because you want everybody to constantly be reminded of what's important. I always say that training isn't something you did, it's something you do, and it's ongoing. If you want everybody to be customer focused on both internal and external customers, they need to all be trained on what the basics of service looks like.
Okay, so in your point of view, how important is to have internal customers satisfied?
Oh, it's so important. Let me put it to you this way. What's happening on the inside of a company is going to be felt on the outside by the customer. Now, here in the US, there are some great reports that come out. Every year, you can see the list of the best customer service companies. You can also find lists of the best companies to work for. And it's no surprise that the best companies to work for are often the same ones that are the best companies to do business with as a customer. So what's happening on the inside is felt on the outside by the customers.
Excellent. And could you give us like 3 basic steps to develop a customer experience culture?
Actually, I'm going to give you 6 basic steps.
Good. 3 more.
Yeah, more than you thought you were going to get. So I have this simple 6-step process. And I say simple because it is simple to understand, but it's not always easy to integrate into a company, especially if the company's large. And the smaller the company, the quicker it can happen. If we work with a company that might have 30 or 40,000 employees or more, it could take 5 to 7 years to get the entire company to shift to a customer-focused culture. But here are the 6 steps. Number 1 is to create a customer service vision. And that means you come up with one sentence that describes what you want your customers to experience from you. And I'll give you my favorite one. It comes from the Ritz-Carlton, which is a hotel group that's worldwide, known for just amazing service. And their one sentence is, we're ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. And with those 9 words, and I'm not sure how many words that is in Spanish, but in the US and English, it's 9 words. Those 9 words define exactly what they want to do. Now, once everybody knows that, and it's easy for them to remember, they can then put gold standards behind that, the non-negotiables, to drive what that means. So number 1 is define what that is. Number 2 is to communicate it and constantly communicate it, keeping in front of everybody the consistent message of this one sentence vision of what you have. Number 3 is train everybody to it. We already talked a little bit about training, but training is for everyone, and everybody needs to understand what their role is in delivering on that vision. Number 4 is for the leadership and managers and supervisors to be the role model and actually demonstrate what's the right way to do things. And I'll give you a quick example. Disney, the theme park, Disney World, Disneyland, and there's Disney's, or Disney Tokyo, Disney Paris. Walt Disney had this vision that these amusement parks and these theme parks would be the cleanest places in the world to take your families to. And when he walked into a theme park, he knew that all of the employees recognized who he was. And if he walked by a piece of paper, he would stoop down, pick up the piece of paper off the ground, and throw it in the trash can. And he called that stooping to excellence. And he felt that if he would pass by that paper, he was giving permission for everybody else to pass by that piece of paper on the ground. So he wanted to set the example and be a role model. Another way of putting it is you want to demonstrate what the right thing to do is, but also when you're dealing with people, treat the people you work with the way you want the customers treated. So that ties into you being a role model. Number 5 is to keep people in what I call alignment. So you are constantly defending the culture that you're trying to create. If somebody isn't doing it right, you talk to them, you coach them, you mentor them. If it's a group that's out of alignment with your vision, talk to them. Sometimes, depending upon how big your company is, if it's a worldwide company, you might find that a whole region on the other side of the world isn't living up to the expectation. It's your job, leader, to keep those people in alignment. And then finally, number 6, when it works, celebrate it. Make sure everybody knows they're doing a great job, and have some fun with it. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but you can let people know they're doing a great job. So number 1 is to define it. Number 2 is to communicate it. Number 3 is to train to it. Number 4 is to be a role model. Number 5 is to keep everybody in alignment with it. And number 6 is to celebrate it when it works.
Great.
That's the fastest I ever did that.
Great. Well, another question that we have for you is, what customer experience is the ultimate marketing tool right now?
Let's say that again.
Why customer experience is the ultimate marketing tool?
Sure. Yeah. Okay, got it. It just cut out there for a moment. So what's the best form of marketing is when other people talk about you. And so the best way to get them to talk about you is to give them an experience that will make them want to talk about you. So there is a restaurant chain that's based here in the US, but they have restaurants worldwide. And it's a steakhouse. It's called Morton's. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not. And it doesn't matter if you are. They do no traditional advertising. They don't have radio commercials. They don't have TV commercials. At the time I worked with them, their CEO, Tom Baldwin was his name, said the best marketing is our people doing a great job, so good that the guests will go out and tell all their friends about the amazing experience that they had at Morton's. That's the marketing department. Everybody doing their job to get that guest to come back. So word of mouth marketing, where people talk about you, is so much more powerful than us trying to convince you. If I'm the company, I'm trying to convince you to come to my place. Let the customers who had the experience convince you to come to do business with me. That's why I believe experience is some of the best marketing, and service is part of that experience, of course.
Yeah, that's right. And now that we are in a pandemic.
Oh, isn't that fun?
There's something that will change on our customer right now. Do we need to transform our organization because of this pandemic to service our customers?
So there's so many ways we can answer this question, but I'll try to give you a general idea. Number 1, customers are, and people in general, and not only customers, but employees as well. Some of them are very scared. They're not sure if they're going to have a job this time next year. They're not sure what's going to happen in their economy and their company, and they're very concerned. When there's fear, sometimes that becomes a different behavioral trait than we're used to seeing in an individual. Sometimes it causes people to become angry. Some people will just retreat. So as a company and the people in the company, they need to be aware that a pandemic or any other crisis for that matter, it magnifies personalities. So if we're a good company, it'll probably make us look better because we're going to try to do more for the customers. We care about them so much. If our customers are struggling, we need to be more empathetic. We need to care. We need to show them we're more interested in them than just making a sale or just doing business. We want to create that relationship where they really get to trust us and really think of us as something more than just a vendor or just a place to do business, just the bank. We want them to feel connected to us emotionally. And in a time of crisis, this is the best time to truly build relationships because we show that customer who we really are and how much we care about them.
Excellent. Another question is how digital transformation is driving customer service right now?
Yeah. So the digital transformation allows customers to communicate with companies in more ways than ever before. You don't just pick up the phone anymore. Maybe you open up an app and message the customer or message the company. Maybe you email. Maybe you go on to a social channel and leave a message on Twitter or Facebook, or maybe post a review. So there's all of these different channels that customers are using to communicate with the company. What the company needs to think about is, and I'm asked, which channels are most important? Well, whichever ones your customers are using. You should not only monitor all the channels, but you should have a solution, a software solution that allows you to, if somebody is emailing you and then you get on the telephone with them, you should be able to know what it is they're talking about without having to ask them the same story over and over again. Some companies are using chat as a way. Chat is where the little window pops up and you type in your question and you get an answer back. Well, oftentimes today, that's a computer that's giving you the answer. So that's called a chat bot. And the danger in trying to automate the entire customer service process is when the customer needs help, where do they go? So there needs to be a quick fallback to a human being who knows how to manage the customer experience. But using the digital platform to start with, to get customers to engage with you on these different channels, is a great way to begin because maybe you can handle it on the channel. I tell my clients to be very careful about over automating and over digitizing the experience because you'll lose the personal connection. The best companies have a balance between the two.
Wow, yeah, that's right. Now that we are in the social media, all the organization has a social media, Instagram, Twitter, something like that. There's a lot of feedback from our customer. How to use those feedbacks?
Yes. So I think that feedback is a gift. Even a complaint is a gift if you manage it the right way. So on a personal level, forget about social media for a moment. If you come to me with a complaint, two things are going to happen. Really, three things are going to happen. Number one, I can do a bad job and you're going to walk away just as unhappy as when you came to me. Number two, I can fix the problem and you can say, thank you, you fixed the problem, we're done here. Or number three, I can not only fix the problem, but I can restore your confidence in me to want to continue to do business. To remember earlier when I said, even when there's a problem, I know I can count on them. That's what amazing companies do. So I'll do a little bit more than just fix the problem. I'll do it with the right attitude, the right personality. Now let's switch to social media. If somebody decides to post a review on social media, and let's hope it's a good review, you should respond to it. You should say, thank you very much. I appreciate you. Hope to see you again soon. Something simple like that. I believe you should acknowledge every piece of feedback that comes your way, even if nothing more than to just say thank you. Now, what happens if there's a complaint? What happens if somebody decides to say something bad about you? Well, once again, everybody can see this, and it's an opportunity for you to go in and resolve the issue. This is how I would do it. Number one, make sure you respond quickly. Quickly doesn't mean a week from now. If somebody posts a complaint today, respond within a day. And that looks good because other customers will see, oh, wow, they responded in a day. And this is what you do. You go, hey, I can understand why you're upset with this. And I apologize that you had this experience. I'd like to make it work for you. I would like to connect with you on the phone so that we can resolve this. Now you take it offline and you resolve it, hopefully, with that customer. And then you come back and you leave another message. Thank you for letting us take care of you. I'm glad we were able to work out the problem. In the perfect world, the customer is going to come back on and say, I'm really glad we were able to take care of it as well. Thank you. And then the whole world sees the beginning, which was a complaint, the resolution, and the end, which is the happy customer.
Yeah. Before I jump up with the audience questions, if they have some, I would like that you explain to our students what can they found on the Shepard Virtual Training.
Yes. Our virtual training platform is meant to be used for anybody in any position, any company, any type of business. There's, depending on which course you get into, but the main course, our flagship course, is called the Customer Focus. This talks about all of what we talked about today. What happens when there is a complaint? What are some easy to use tactics to win customers over? You know, things as simple as managing your first impression, which is how you greet people, how you communicate with them, the questions that you ask. The idea, we talked a little bit about consistency and predictability, the idea of consistency. So in that particular course, which I believe is foundational for everyone, what it allows everybody to do is get on the same in the same place and on the same page with using the correct language and understanding in general what customer service is. So even if you are at an advanced level, meaning you are just a rock star when it comes to customer service. And by the way, 80% of the companies that I work with, they're not in trouble. No, they're doing really well. They just want to stay at the top, which is why they understand the importance of constantly reinforcing and reminding people with some of the same messages over and over again. And by the way, once you go through the training once, I would suggest go through it again, a second time, maybe even a third time. Yeah, you'll move through it faster and you'll know the answers quicker. But here's my take on this. The first time, it is educational. The second time, it starts to get into your head. By the third or fourth time, it starts to become part of what you do. It needs to be a habit. So you've got exposure the first time, redundancy and repetition leads to you having a better understanding, and that actually creates sustainability, which means it's going to stay with you. And the other piece of it is accountability. So if you take the course on your own, there's a workbook that goes with it. If you're part of a group and you're said, hey, at various points along the way here, as you go through the course, let's all get together and we bring our workbooks in together. Now there's a level of accountability because I'm going to compare my answers to your answers. And I'll go a step further that if a company decides to buy this type of training, we have it set up to where somebody within the organization can track and monitor the progress of everybody taking the course. So we know who's doing it, who's not doing it. We know if they're rushing through it. We know what answers they miss on the quiz questions. We know everything. And knowing that somebody's watching will create a sense of accountability to get it done and do it right.
Excellent. That's what they're going to find in our program also, because we are doing a partnership with this program in la especialidad de calidad e innovación de los servicios. So I don't know if there's some questions, maybe.
Yes, we have some questions from our students.
Okay.
Great.
And the first is from Jennifer, and she asked, how can we as a business offer an exceptional customer experience through digital platforms and interfaces?
So that's a big question. And because I don't know the kind of business that she's in, I'm going to try to give you an answer that would allow her to go back and actually do something with it. Who do you admire? If it's a digital business, an online business, what other company, not in your industry, that you think is the best at doing the digital business? Here in the US, and perhaps where you are too, it's Amazon. Amazon's amazing when it comes to a digital business. What is it that we like about them? So get a group of people together and start listing out all of the attributes that you like about Amazon and the way the customer, the way I would experience it as a customer. I like the way they send their emails. I like how quickly they respond, whatever it is. You list out everything. And then you say, are we doing all of this? Because we like this company and we like what's happening over here. Can we do some of what they do? And by the way, I would not just stop. I'd start with Amazon and stop. I would look at a number of companies, let people share what their favorite businesses are and why they love doing business, and start saying, what are they doing that I can be doing too? So if it's all purely a digital business, find other digital businesses. By the way, if you want to look at your competition, you can do that. But when you start to copy the competition, that doesn't make you better than the competition. It just makes you the same as the competition. So that's something to think. And by the way, if you don't do digital, let's say you're in the restaurant business, compare yourself to other restaurants, but also compare yourself to any other business. And what are they doing that can bring it in? It doesn't matter what business you're in. That exercise works for any type of business.
Okay, the other question is, which are the main digital tools to better plan a great service experience for a back office point of view?
The main digital tools? Yeah. The main digital tools for back office. Wow. So there are so many software solutions out there, and really it depends on the kind of business you are. But I want you to think about this. If you're going to use a customer service solution, a cloud-based solution, I think, is preferable for a number of reasons. And boy, if we didn't learn, all of my call center support companies that I work with, as soon as the pandemic hit, every one of them had to leave their call centers and go home. Well, the only way that works is if the software is up in the cloud. I think the cloud's up there somewhere. So a cloud-based solution is great. Number two is to find a solution that will allow, if your customer's coming in on multiple channels like social media, messaging, email, even the telephone, you need to have a solution that allows everything to be viewed at once. So you're not constantly switching from one program to another, to another, to another. So the ideal solution, and by the way, that doesn't mean it's one software company. There's many companies out there that maybe they're great at one thing and another company's great at another, but they can work together and seem like it's one. And I think that's important. So I work with a number of different brands, and I try to stay away recommending the specific company, but look for software solutions that include those types of features.
Okay, we have another question. In order to offer a great customer experience, should we always agree with what the client has to say?
I love that one.
Regardless if they're right or not.
Right. So one of the lessons.
Question.
I love this one.
Always we hear what the client always have the right.
Yeah. So I'm going to make this real easy, and you're going to love it. The customer or the client is not always right. Let's just, but I have to go further. They may not always be right, but they are always the client or the customer. So you must let them be wrong with dignity and respect. So it's really easy. If a customer comes to you and what they're saying is wrong, you're not looking to win an argument. You're looking to win the customer. So the first thing we tell our clients when they start to think that way is, no, it's impossible, because once in a while, the customer will be wrong. And you know what? When they're wrong, just let them be wrong with dignity. Many times when they're wrong, it's because they don't know something. So we need to educate them. So we need to do it in such a way where they go, oh, now I understand. Okay, I get it. Thank you for sharing that. That makes sense. And now guess what? They're back on your side.
It is true that it's necessary to have a service profile. Some people even say it has to be in your DNA to be able to offer a good service, to be someone like that taxi driver or Made in Dallas.
Yes, I love that guy. So interestingly, I think that there are certain people that are better at it than others. And certain people are definitely right for being on the front line. If you have somebody that's really introverted, that is probably they'd rather be in a back office function. And then you say you've got to get out there on the front line. They're not going to be happy, and they probably won't be that good at it. They're going to be shy. They're going to be uncomfortable, and you're putting them into a position for failure. So when you're selecting the right people, when you're hiring the right people and selecting who you choose, look for the behavioral styles, those personalities that fit the profile that you want. So there's different companies out there that offer behavioral style testing. Myers-Briggs is one that's really a kind of more psychological, but DISC, D-I-S-C, is one that's very popular amongst businesses. And those D-I-S-C stands for, the D stands for one thing, the I stands for another. And you can see on a graph what the personality of this person is. Now, doesn't make them good or bad. It's just, this is what they're, if I'm talking to somebody that's very introverted, I don't think I should put them on the front line. But if I'm talking to somebody that has extroversion, they're fun to talk to and they love to talk to people, that may be the exact person you want on the front line, either in customer support or in sales, because they love other people and communicating with people. So let them do what they love to do.
Thank you. Maciel, do you have another question?
Not right now, but I would like to invite all the audience to go to our web and check la especialidad de calidad e innovación de los servicios, and to see, ver que ya tenemos todo ahí la información y que vamos a estar compartiendo con los programas virtuales del señor Shep. O sea que ahí podrán ver toda la información. Y I want to thank Mr. Hyken to be with us today. And we're so glad. And it's an honor to have you here today.
My honor as well. By the way, the main course that we talked about in my program, there's actually 2 courses that have been they're not just transcribed, but they're actually dubbed in Spanish. So it looks like me talking, but my lips move funny. And but Spanish words come out of them. So, and the workbooks are in Spanish, and I hope we have an opportunity to be a part of your life and be a part of your business. I would love that.
Thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure.
It is my pleasure. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your knowledge and experience with us. It has been a privilege, both for UNIVE and our business school are very thankful for your time.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure. Thank you.
Ok, muchas gracias a todos por acompañarnos esta tarde. Como bien le dijo Maciel, pueden en nuestra web pueden chequear todo el plan de estudio de la especialidad en calidad e innovación. Muchas gracias a todos por acompañarnos. Feliz tarde.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Ya